"You must leave my house today," Bayo screamed, his voice echoing in the small living room. Iniobong winced as he dragged her by the hair. "I can no longer live with a wicked woman," he yelled. "Bayo, please, I am unwell," Iniobong pleaded, her voice weak as she tried to free herself from his grip. But Bayo was relentless, dragging her towards the door. Iniobong was the second child of Mr. and Mrs. Otobong, a family of four. Iniobong had two sisters and a brother. She was incredibly beautiful, intelligent, and homely. People believed that if you didn't turn your head when she walked by, you must have neck pain. Iniobong was blessed with beauty and intelligence, but her mother's harsh words always hung over her like a dark cloud. "You unfortunate possessed mermaid," her mother would shout. "Why can't you beg your spiritual husband to let you get married? What's the point of all this beauty if no man wants you?" Her mother's emotional abuse came in different forms. When Iniobong got admission to study law, her mother Nkoyo was far from pleased. "Continue burying your head in books. It seems that is all you're good for," she remarked. Graduating with a first-class honors did not appease her mother. She was even more displeased because 5 years after Iniobong graduated, she still didn't find a husband. She would complain to her friend Okokon, "Am I not beautiful enough? Why can't I find a suitor? What if I am possessed like my mother says?" "My beautiful friend, wait and pray. Your own husband will soon find you," Okokon would say in a bid to encourage his friend. Okokon was a close friend of Iniobong. He cherished her and often tried cheering her up. But soon, Okokon had to travel out of the country to further his education. Chief Edet, Iniobong's father, loved his daughter dearly. She was the apple of his eyes. Chief would often encourage his daughter by saying, "My beautiful ebony queen, take your time and marry a man that will know your worth and treat you right." But for Iniobong, she was under a lot of pressure. Her mother made life unbearable for her. But one day, everything changed. Iniobong was returning from church when she ran into her old schoolmate Shola. Standing beside Shola was her cousin Bayo. Iniobong didn't really pay much attention to him because, in contrast to Iniobong's beauty, he was just plain looking. As the two friends parted ways and exchanged contact, a new chapter had been unveiled in Iniobong's life. Before Iniobong got home, Shola called. "My cousin wants your number, please. His name is Bayo." Iniobong remembered the young man that had stood beside her friend, but she didn't feel any attraction to him. But still, she decided that Shola could give her number to him, and they both went on a date. A date turned into 2, 3, and from there, a relationship started. On the first date, Bayo had already proposed marriage. Iniobong was conflicted. The young man seemed nice and kind, but she felt no attraction to him. Chief Edet, hearing of his daughter's new suitor, begged her, "My beautiful queen, don't succumb to any pressure. You need to marry someone that you're connected to. Marriage is not a day event," Chief Edet said. But Iniobong had made up her mind to marry Bayo. 3 months to the wedding, Iniebong and Bayo were having a lunch date. Iniebong playfully asked, "I have never really asked you, do you have children?" "Yes, I have," Bayo answered calmly. Iniebong was shocked. She first thought it was a lie. "Please tell me you're joking," Iniebong said, laughing. "No, I have a 20-year-old son," Bayo said calmly. "Please, Bayo, tell me it's a joke. I am not enjoying this prank," Iniebong begged. But it was not a prank. After recovering from the shock, Iniobong weighed her options. She tried making excuses for him. Maybe he lied because he didn't want to lose her, Inebong said to herself. But that was her first chance to run away from Bayo, but she didn't take it. She thought about it and considered ending the relationship, but something happened that changed her mind. Inebong had been up all night, carrying out research for a new case. At about 5 in the morning, she decided to get some sleep. Iniobong had not slept for long when she was jolted awake by a splash of cold water. Iniobong opened her eyes. She was drenched in water and so was her bed. Her mother was standing beside the bed, looking very angry. "Your mates are in their homes preparing breakfast and you're here snoring in my house," she said and walked out with the bucket she came in with. Iniobong resolved there and then to marry Bayo. She felt her life couldn't get any worse, but life had a lot of surprises in store for Iniobong. On the wedding day, Iniobong got to the venue, but Bayo hadn't gotten there yet. An hour after, Bayo was still nowhere to be found. Iniobong started crying. She felt Bayo had left her at the altar. Calls to his line were not answered, and that made Iniobong cry even more. Iniobong, who was still in the car, told the driver to take her home, and that was when Bayo drove in. That was the second chance for Iniobong to leave Bayo. But alas, she didn't take it. She married Bayo, and another journey started in her life. The marriage quickly turned into a nightmare. Bayo's complaints started small, but they grew into constant accusations and demands. The cool, understanding man was replaced by someone Iniobong could not recognize. Iniobong tried to appease him, but nothing was ever enough. One day, Bayo fell ill, and despite Iniobong's care, he grew more demanding. But when she became sick herself, his demands just didn't stop. One day, Bayo's anger exploded. He dragged her out of the house, even when she was feverish. He only allowed her back in after a neighbor intervened. The cycle of love and rage confused Iniobong until one day, when it all came to a climax. One evening, after a long day at work, Iniobong was hungry and tired. She decided to make a small snack before starting dinner. Bayo came into the kitchen demanding pounded yam for dinner. When Iniobong explained that she hadn't pounded yam before, Bayo insisted. She suggested another dish, but Bayo wouldn't hear of it. She then decided to have the snack so that she could have energy to start the pounding process. As she was preparing the snack, Iniobong didn't see it coming, and she couldn't have, because the blow landed on her neck from behind. Iniobong woke up in the hospital, but her limbs were not working. She was paralyzed. As she lay there alone, Iniobong felt all sorts of emotions. She blamed herself for marrying Bayo. The door opened and a doctor walked in. "Madam, you're awake," he said with a cheerful smile. Iniobong just couldn't bring herself to smile back. "There are some things you need to know," the doctor said. "Firstly, congratulations, you are pregnant," the doctor said. Iniobong's world came to a stop. The words the doctor uttered brought a lot of emotions to her. Just then, the door swung open and in walked Bayo with a bouquet of red roses. He quickly got on his knees. The doctor, who had stopped talking, turned to Iniobong. "I will come back shortly to have a talk with you," he said, and walked out. Iniobong just sat there and listened as Bayo started apologizing, punctuating the apology ever so often with, "But you pushed me. I would never do that if you hadn't provoked me," he kept saying. Iniobong was short of words. She couldn't believe that she was literally paralyzed and he was still blaming her for his actions. A nurse walked in and asked him to leave. "Let me help you with that," she said as she collected the bouquet from him. "The patient is on a lot of medications and needs to rest now," the nurse said to Bayo. Bayo grudgingly left. When the door had closed behind him, the nurse turned to Iniobong. "I am sorry if I had intruded, but I hate seeing any form of domestic violence. A bouquet cannot be the answer. I lost a sister and till today I wish she had valued her life more than her marriage." "Once again, I am sorry for overstepping," the nurse said and left. Inebong had a lot to think about. She placed an order that she didn't want him to see her while she was at the hospital. But after returning to her father's house, her trouble started, and this time it was her mother. "Do you want to raise this child without the father? I know you. You must have provoked that man," her mother said. Iniobong's paralysis was temporary, and not long after, she was back on her feet, and her mother increased her torture. Though her father tried to make her comfortable, Iniobong's mother made the house uncomfortable for her. After much pleading and promises from Bayo, Iniobong moved back to his house. Everything seemed okay, apart from his usual complaint, until Bayo brought an idea of moving the entire family abroad. Bayo was a civil engineer, and he started convincing Iniobong that they had better prospects in Canada. And so he insisted that they put their resources together and leave the country. But the problem was that Iniobong earned triple of what he was earning. So Iniobong knew that it meant she had to foot the entire bills. Iniobong was content with her life the way it was. She was earning a sizable income and was content living amongst her people, but Bayo was not. Iniobong's attention was now fully on having a healthy pregnancy and giving birth safely. But Bayo nagged and brought up the issue every minute until Inebong gave in. The money was huge, the travel expenses, different health assessments. There was a lot that had to be paid for. Inebong just wanted to lessen the stress on herself, and so she just emptied her account and gave everything to Bayo. Inebong just wanted to lessen the stress on herself and emptied her account and gave everything to Bayo when he complained that he did not have access to the money and had to run to her every time for every single thing. The preparations for the relocation took a long time, and soon Iniobong was due to give birth. On the morning she went into labor, Bayo drove her there. Iniobong called her parents and they came to the hospital to be with her. Hours after, her beautiful daughter arrived. Iniobong, on seeing her daughter, forgot about all the pain she went through during the labor. She asked for her husband to be called in to see his daughter, but he wasn't in the hospital premises. Iniobong tried his number, but it was not connecting. Based on Iniobong's insistence, she was discharged. Her father took care of the bills because Bayo could not be reached. On the way to the house, Iniobong's mind tried to make sense of Bayo's absence. A lot of thoughts came to her mind, but she just hoped he was okay. When they got to the house, Inebong couldn't recognize her home anymore. It was completely empty. Even the pictures on the wall were gone. Inebong almost dropped the baby. Her father quickly took the baby from her. Inebong was a new mom, and she had just been robbed of everything she owned. Her father quickly took her back to his house. It was obvious that Iniobong couldn't stay in an empty house. Iniobong's daughter was the only thing that kept her going while she tried to make sense of what had just happened to her. Bayo had vanished into thin air, and all his family members could not tell his whereabouts. Iniobong tried, but she couldn't retrieve the money she had transferred to Bayo's account. But eventually, she landed back on her feet. 5 years after the horrid incident, things had started looking up for Iniobong. She was now a successful criminal lawyer with her own chamber. Her daughter was a spitting image of Iniobong, and she was very intelligent too. Inebong had licked her wounds and continued her life. She had remarried and life was good again. She was even expecting her second child. Inebong's friend Okokon, who had left the country, contacted Inebong and asked for a huge favor. Inebong just couldn't say no to Okokon. She arrived at the prison and waited to meet the person Okokon needed him to represent. And in walked Bayo. Inebong blinked her eyes, but it really was Bayo in the flesh. Bayo was now in handcuffs and he stared back at her with a look of desperation on his face. Inebong, you are my only hope. Please help me, he begged. Inebong felt her heart race. Could she help the man who had caused her so much pain? The decision weighed heavily on her mind as she sat in silence, looking at him. Are you wondering what Inebong will do next? Well, sometimes the past returns when we least expect it, but in those moments, we must choose whether to lose control of our future or find the strength to move forward with wisdom and courage. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, subscribe, leave a comment, and remember to share to a friend or two that you feel will enjoy this. Thank you.